Right, in this tutorial I'm just going to show you how to create a Ubuntu VirtualBox. In order to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to be using Oracle VirtualBox. We're obviously going to have to get some stuff from Ubuntu, and then we'll get going. So, first of all, we're going to be using via VirtualBox 5. So if you go to virtualbox.org and just download that, install it, do whatever it says. And the next thing is to go to Ubuntu and grab a distro there. So if we click on this Ubuntu download there, it'll bring you into this. And then we get choose your flavor, so 64-bit or 32-bit, depending on what you want. So I'm just going to grab that. I'm not going to use this, I just want to show you the process. So after that, they'll ask you to make a contribution, and it would be very great if you would. But you can also just go straight to the download, and what that will do is kick off an ISO download. So thank you for downloading, and in a moment it'll start. So there you go. And yeah, it's about 1 gig a pop anyway, so you'll see that, and that is an ISO image. So I'm just going to cancel that because I don't want it, and get back to this. So before we get going, once you fire up VirtualBox Manager from that icon there, you just need to create a new one. So create a new virtual machine, and well, I'm going to use this one for Node.js. So I'm going to call this one Node.js box. Now the type there, you can use Windows or whatever, but we're going to use Linux, and it's going to be a Ubuntu 64-bit. You can choose a number of different flavors of Linux in there, but there's that one. Next thing to do is to set up the memory size. Now, currently in this process here, I'm currently in the kind of expert mode. So I'm going to change to guided mode, maybe show you that. So we'll just restart the whole process again and call Node.js box. There we go, Linux, Ubuntu 64, click next. So it just steps you through as before. So memory size 768, so I'm going to give this 2 gig, I suppose. Then we click next, and next thing we can do is to look at the hard disk. So create a virtual hard disk now, which is always a good idea. So let's create that, and then we have a bunch of options here in terms of the type. So disk images is absolutely fine. We'll just use that. Dynamically allocated is faster to get you up and running. Fixed size might run a bit better, I guess, but we're going to go for dynamic anyway. Click next on that. So file location and size. So please type the name of the new virtual hard disk into the box below and click on that. So that's where it's going to go. And if we look in here, what it's going to do is create a directory here where the entire virtual box is going to reside. So that's currently on my profile there, or via VirtualBox VMs. So cancel out of that, 8 gig for the moment will be fine. Click create on that. And that's it. That is the start, but we can make a few more changes here as well. So for instance, if we go into display, there we go. Video memory is very low, so I'm going to whack that up to 128. I only have one monitor, so also I'm going to enable those. Now, if with both of these selected, it's saying invalid detected. So if I turn off 2D acceleration, it seems to be happy, so we'll run with that. There is no remote display. If you do want to use video capture, then you need to enable it in here. Anything else we need to do? So general is all the stuff we just went through. System boots and all that kind of stuff, storage, audio network. We're going to enable the network adapter, and it's going to be attached to NAT. You can make other selections here, and we'll come back to that on a different video, but it's going to leave it at NAT for the moment, just basically the default. And click OK. So that's it, those savings have been set. The next thing we need to do is to actually start the machine. So once this is there, we have our Node.js box currently powered off, and we can click the start button here. So that'll fire up the machine. So let's give that a moment. Okay, so now there is currently no startup disk, so we have to go and tell it where to find one. So hopefully you would have downloaded this already. So that's the Ubuntu distro that we were looking at, and I was going to select that one and click start, and there it goes. So it's going to start building that. So you give it a second here. This is Ubuntu doing its thing, and let's see, a bit of bumping about. Okay, this ACPI PCC probe means nothing really. I chased it down at one point and it didn't mean anything, so I just let it run. Right, I'm going to pause this and come back to it in a moment. Okay, so after firing up a few BIOS messages and whatnot, it's now presented me with this one here, which is coming through from Ubuntu. One of the really cool things about VirtualBox as well is that you can get a preview of what your box is doing in here. Anyway, so we're going to install Ubuntu. So we click on that. That'll just take a few moments. So quick sanity check. So best results, please ensure that it's done all that stuff. You can use the download updates while installing, and also install third party. I'm not interested in any of this stuff at the moment, so I'll come back to all that later. So we hit continue, and let's see what it does next. So it fires a warning, so erase disk and install Ubuntu. Now we don't have anything on our disk at the moment, so it doesn't matter, but bear in mind this installation was designed to work on real hardware. So it's just firing a few warnings at you there. So we can click install now. It's going to say it's going to create a couple of partitions, and that's all fine. Just accept the defaults and keep going. And now it's going to ask for some localization information. So I'm in Dublin, that'll be setting up the time. Obviously it's Irish, so we can basically do whatever you want. There's a keyboard detection here, which is quite good as well. Use continue. Now, next thing is just setting up some node information. So I'm going to call this one Node.js. So it's the computer's name is now going to be Node.js VirtualBox. So the username is going to be Node.js, and the password is going to be not telling you. Now you do have the option here to require a password to log in or not. So I'm just going to say log in automatically. In fairness, if anyone's already got access to my machine to get to this point, getting in here is not going to mean much, and basically I'm going to nuke this when I'm done anyway. So continue, and now it'll start going through the process of copying over files and configuration and all the rest. So while it's doing all that, again, I'm just going to pause. Okay, so it has been copying files and it's running configurations and all the rest there at the moment. So you can see these things are quite entertaining. Gives you loads of information about what Ubuntu can do. So it's still working away there. But you can see there it's obviously doing what it's supposed to do quite well. All right, so installation is complete. So now we need to restart. So we just simply hit the restart button. Now, first of all, take note of the size of the screen and everything else here, because this is going to be an issue that we need to fix. So I'll hit restart, and again, it'll basically restart the machine. Okay, so unmounting temporary files, and so on and so forth. I've had a few hangs on this one, particularly when it's stopping the cryptos. For some reason it doesn't quite like that, and it just sits there for a while. I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to do that again. That being the case, what we can do is just under here we can do other things. We can control the machine, so it's basically pressing the reset button on the machine itself. Other things we can do in here are views and all the rest. What I'm going to do is just hit the reset, because I'm pretty sure it's not coming back from there. And so yeah, fine, whatever. So it'll reboot again. And here it comes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this out like so. And with a bit of luck, we get a machine soon. Okay, so we've got a machine. Now, obviously the screen size is a problem for us here. So we need to fix that, and we do that by installing some guest utilities. So what we need to do is get at the terminal. So you can click on this thing here and type in terminal. And with a bit of luck, it'll actually respond. Yeah, eventually. So I'm just going to hit terminal here, and it brings up my terminal window. Now, a couple of things to do before we get going. Good idea to do a sudo apt-get and then update. Just make sure that's all there. Put in your password and off it goes. And what this is doing is just updating the package manager. apt-get is a package manager. And now we're also seeing an error up here, which we're going to have to resolve as well. There you go. So do something with all that junk. Now the other thing we need to do is run an upgrade. So sudo apt-get, instead of, well, once we've done the update, we can now run the upgrade just to get everything back the way it should be. And we just run yes on that, and off it goes. So as you can see, it's quite quick. Okay, all of that took about 9-10 minutes, I think, to run. And we're still not finished. We have a couple of other things to do, and that is the final setup to get VirtualBox running the way it's supposed to. So, sudo, get my thing working back here again. Sudo apt-get install virtualbox-guest-utils. All right, so that goes in. And the next one we need is dkms. And that's that. Oops. I got the name wrong again. What's it called again? DKMS. DKMS. That should work. So we'll continue on that. And we're going to need one more after this, and this is the problematic one. Alright, so that one's done. Now what we need to do is the final one, which is X11. And this is the one that has to do with the screen. So I'll hit this. So far so good, but then we get this problem here. The following packages have unmet dependencies, blah 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 blah, depends on all this junk here. Now, this is not so great. Doesn't seem to be an easy way to sort this out, except for we do have one particular genius who has come up with the answer. And this guy, Connor ADK. What we need to do is remove this libcheese 23 and then install xserver-core again, and then we put in the guest X11. So I'm just going to make sure we have this sorted out. So what I'm going to do actually is switch over to input devices here. Keyboard, devices, shared clipboard, currently disabled. So what I'll do is I'll just change that to bidirectional. And now what I'm going to do is go back into here and just grab this stuff and copy it. And that should allow me to paste it into here, but it didn't, because I probably need to reboot the machine. Okay, so we'll do it the hard way. Let's see. Let's minimize that down a bit there. Just shrink it. There. Okay. So it would have made a lot more sense if I put it somewhere else. You know, let Windows do its thing here. Okay. Get remove libg's GTK 23. And the box is none, so now we'll try 2.3 and go with that. I do want to continue. Okay, so that's that done. Next step is to install xserver again. So apt-get install. What's this one? xserver-xorg-core. Okay, I'll put that in. And yes, I do want to continue. All right, now that's that one done. Now we need to put in the next one. Now this time we're using the F switch. Let's see, install with an F and VirtualBox with a V. Guest X11. And let's see if it works this time. Okay, and it worked. Now, this does one thing though, we lose our ability to grab the settings from here. So there's one more thing that we need to do before we can go down for reboot. So if we look down in the comments on this particular posting here, this one here, so after installing as above, sometimes the desktop doesn't give options for system settings, then use sudo get install Ubuntu desktop or use sudo install Unity Control Center. So I'm going to pop on the Unity Control Center. That seems to work. So Unity Control Center. So before I hit that, if you just look here, you'll see that it's gone. So back in and hit that. And I do want to continue. All right, so that will give me Unity Control Center again, which I'll have to grab from in here, but that's fine. Okay, so this is everything done now at this point. So the final thing to do is to just reboot the device. So sudo reboot and hit enter and off it goes. All right, so that's that happening. And let's see if we got it working. Now, what should happen is if X11 has done its thing, then this should resize for me when it gets ready to do so. So you can see down here the hard disk is working. Doesn't it work? Okay, so we are now back in Ubuntu and or in our VM, and if you look here, when we do that, it'll refresh exactly as we need it to. So things we can do. So this is your standard file manager. It's all working. Let's have a look and see, do we get onto the net? So I'll just fire up Firefox. I tend to get rid of these things as well. So unlock that, unlock that. And there we go. So that's working. Let's have a quick look at lit.ie and see where we talk to the big bad world. So far, so good. Okay, well, that's it. We're done. Now, all of those commands are going to be in the comments below. And of course, when I was making this before publishing, I trimmed out all the wait time. So it does take about 30 minutes in total by the time, well, for me it did anyway. All right, thank you very much.